had one of those moments where you're like, how in the world did this become so complicated? If you've been in business for long, you've most likely had one of those moments. Complexity happens naturally the longer we are in business, the more our business grows. Now, part of that complexity is likely due to our growth, and yet the greater amount of complexity is generally because we are more likely to add things than we are to subtract things. It's true of most of us. And the more we add things, the more complicated things can become. Now, the cost of too much complexity in our business really is in multiple areas. Communication's more difficult. Generally, we are working harder to get things done. And it leaves us open to more, potential problems in our customer and client experience. Complexity can really be an issue both on the backside of our business as well as our customer or client forward-facing part of our business. And yet, some of our hesitation, I think, is because we know we don't want to make things too simple. There's that sweet spot. We've removed the unnecessary pieces, components, tasks, processes, and we've not oversimplified it. Because oversimplifying something is just as bad as too complicated. It's just a different sort of bad. Getting to simplicity, reducing complexity requires our time and our attention. And honestly, yes, a bit of discipline to be willing to spend the time to identify that sweet spot. Not too complicated and not too simple. If you're still wondering if this is worth your time and effort, and yes, it does require effort and it will require time. Here's a quote from Steve Jobs, which I think really sums up this topic. He says, "Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean enough to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end because then you can move mountains." So how about schedule some time with yourself, just in the next few weeks, just a few minutes, to really look through and think about where might there be too much complexity in our business, and who might we want to invite into that conversation as we search for the sweet spot of not too complex and not oversimplified.